everyone. Welcome to the Pretty Playbook. Today, I have a very special guest on with me today. I'm really, really fond of her, and we'll get more into that after she introduces herself. But this is Miss Keisha from the Black College Experience. And she, like I said, she's going to further introduce herself. We're going to hop into some really fun conversation. I think you all are going to love her and adore her the same way that I do. So without further ado, let's get an introduction.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you, Des, for having me. I absolutely love your platform. I see all the different microphones and I see this one, another. So I do thank you so kindly for having me. Of course, I'm always humble when someone asks me to come do something, but I'm Keisha J. Kelly, as you stated. I am the founder and CEO of Black College Experience. For people that do not know, Black College Experience is HBCU sports media company that advocates towards positive exposure for HBCU athletics. And so that is the key, is basically to tell HBCU athletic stories, to tell stories of athletes that have come from historically Black colleges, those diamonds in the rough, some of those stories that we don't hear about. That's the whole point, is to bring those stories to light and, just share with the world the things that we see in that space that a lot of people may not even see.
Yeah. So for those who probably can't see her because you're probably listening to on audio, she has on this shirt. It says proud HBCU alum. And she is from Southern University. So I'm going to hop right in with that very first question because I want to dig deeper into the Black college experience things. But I have to ask, how did you end up at Southern?
So Southern University grad. I ended up at Southern, y'all. My first choice was actually FAMU, right? And so FAMU was my first choice. I was in band in high school. And so we took a trip. Also, we took a trip in band. And y'all, when I saw them hills, yeah, they talk about them seven of the highest hills. Oh yeah, that was a no-go. And that was probably like, yeah, we're not doing that. Was 11th grade. I saw, no, we're not doing that. And so the crazy thing is I have a twin sister that graduated from Alabama A&M. And my twin sister always wanted to go to Southern. Southern was never on my radar. I looked at other schools, and like I said, FAMU was a choice. Grambling was a choice. I believe Jackson State was a choice. I had lists, but somehow, being separated from a twin is a completely different separation. It's like, all right, well, I guess we're going to Southern together. Well, my sister ends up getting pregnant, so she ended up staying at home. And it's kind of like I went in her place. So I was like, all right, okay, I'm going to Southern. And I tell people all the time that was the best decision that I have ever made in my life.
I love it. First, you're a twin. Oh my gosh. I envy you because I've always wanted to be a twin. It's like, I need a twin so I can always have like my best friend. We can be like this, do everything together. That T and Tamara type thing. So being a twin, really going to your sister's Playboy, you guys were going to go. I really value and admire the fact that you still went and, you could have stayed and said, I'm going to stay where I'm at. So are you all from Alabama?
We're from Huntsville, so it's literally right down the street from
Oh,
Alabama.
okay.
Yeah, so it just made sense. Yeah, literally right down the street, like 8 minutes from Alabama A&M.
Wow. And I commend her too for still getting her education because so many young mothers do not continue to go on with their education. So I commend her that if she ever hears this, I clap for her and commend her for the things that she's done as well. Okay, so you get to Southern. What do you study at Southern? What is, were you like me and you went to school for one thing and then you changed your mind? Or were you like gun ho set like this is what it is?
So I went to school. I got my undergrad in psychology. I was taking psychology classes while I was in high school. And so that was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna major in psychology. This is my thing. This is my thing. This is my thing. And I stuck to it. So I majored in psychology. But yeah, no. Once I got out, I went into grad school. I started grad school at Alabama A&M. And I was like, oh yeah, I want to be clinical psychologist. This is what I want. This is it. And like, you know what? No, this is not what I wanted to do. So I did end up finishing, switching my major. I did get an MBA from University of Phoenix, but I absolutely positively did not stay in that. I mean, I did work in counseling. I was in geriatric, but yeah, no, it was tough, but it was a complete 360.
Yeah. Okay. So I have my undergraduate in psychology as well. When I first went to school, I went for art, graphic and visual arts, which ended up being my minor because I ended up taking so many classes in it. And it's like, even though same thing as you, coming out of high school, I actually had a full semester worth of classes and courses. And I think that's great when hear and see women of color and specifically Black women say that, oh yeah, like I was in college and high school. So many people don't, they just, if for some reason it's just like they just don't believe it. It's like, yeah, we are already ahead coming into college. So that's another thing that we have in common. So that's so great. Now, talk to me about, you got your MBA. What do you do outside of Black college experience, or is that your only thing that you do?
So that's not the only thing I do. Actually, starting on August 5th, I will start a new job. I'm super excited about that, as I will be going to work with the Urban League of Greater Atlanta. For people that don't know, that's a very prestigious, it's the place to be. So I'm really excited about that. And I've always had a heart for people. So I love helping people. That's my thing. I love helping people. And so I'll still be in that space of working with young people. 16 to 24 is going to be my age range, and doing facilitate some different things. But of course, workforce, work readiness, things of that nature. But y'all know, when I can release and disconnect, I go straight back into my sports side. That's just how it is.
That's amazing. And I think it's right on target. Like, although it may not be necessarily, sports
Right.
delving and related, it still kind of goes together. I feel like with anything, if you can get into sports, I feel like sports can correlate to so many different things. And I'm learning that myself. Like, take your sports experience and correlate that to something else. I've done it a lot with my military experience, but it's like, now with your sports experience, take it and put it together. So speaking on sports experience, how did you get into sports? We know HBCU because you are a product of an HBCU, but sports more specifically.
And so the funny thing is that a lot of people think I started with Black college experience. That could be no more further from the truth. So I talked to a lot of people. I was like, I've been in sports longer than some people have been out of college, right? I literally started in sports in 2003, 2004. I was working with a National Basketball Developmental League back then, which was the Huntsville Flight. That's how I got started.
Mm.
And so I don't even know what it was I saw. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll take that job. And so it was kind of like crowd interaction, game day experience, or something like that. And I applied and I got the job, and I was like, oh my God. Now I'm thinking I'm some type of celebrity, because environment you're gonna put me in with all these big lights and stuff. But I truly enjoyed that. And then after that, I just kind of went into different things. I started doing stuff with arena football, started working with players in their nonprofits. So I was just kind of going to see which direction I would get into. But it was arena football. Excuse me, it was the National Basketball Developmental League. 2003, 2004 is that where I got started, like in December.
Wow. Okay. So from those experiences, I presume that's what made you, once you found like where you wanted to go, that's what made you start Black college experience.
Somewhere around there, because after I did arena football for about maybe for like a couple of years, I was writing on that level. So I was doing journalistic stuff and just going to the games. And then after that, it was just kind of like, write something here and there. And I would just go to games and I would just kind of watch. But then after that, it was somewhere around 2011. Like, people would just hear me and it was like, oh yeah, that's your thing. And I'm like, nah, it's not. And so I relocated to Atlanta because I was like, I want to do something with sports. But
Mm-hmm.
it was Turner Broadcast. It was always something on that line. It
Mm-hmm.
was, you can start your own thing, you can do your own thing, build your own brand. It was never any of that. So I'm still in that same path. And then 2011, I remember somebody from back home, which is so ironic. This girl got me on a radio station. Her dad used to be my basketball coach. And so, which he is now passed. Rest in peace, Coach Bowers. But they literally lost the dial like within 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, you know what? It ain't meant for me to do this. I'm done. It's not meant, because every time I started, something
Mm-hmm.
happened. Not meant for me. And then in 2014, somebody else saw me and was like, yo, we want to bring you into radio. So since 2014, you talking about 10 years ago, literally, it's been, I've been on radio stations, I've been on internet, I've done everything. And then in 2016 is when I officially said, okay, it's time to start your own thing. Because people were like, oh, yeah, you can do a 2-hour segment. I was like, who's going to listen to that for 2 hours? I'm not going to be up for 2 hours. But 2016, right before or right in the mix of my father transitioning, is when I went into it.
Wow. Okay. So you do have a very, very long history. And I think that's the beauty of the story though, because it's not I woke up and just was an immediate success. I didn't
Nope.
wait. Like, it's not like, oh, it's not, it works like that for some people, but for most people, it doesn't. You don't get right out of college and then immediately you have your dream job. And then from
Right,
there, you buy a business and now you're Fortune
right.
500. So the beauty of this story that I see for you is like you came in and you've hit many bumps and trials, but you've also been in being on radio for 10 years. You're giving me like Wendy Williams vibes, like knowing that she worked so hard in radio for so long before she even got to TV. And that's the labor that people don't see. So, okay, boom, we got it. You're starting your own thing, 2016. Where did we get Black college experience from? Why didn't you go with like HBCU college or like, HBCU experience or, why didn't stick to Southern specific or, A&M specific? So I really I want to know, how did we get to this Black college experience?
Funny thing is that initially the name was the Black College Experience. I don't know when we dropped off the. I think I don't know if it was the name it dropped off, but I didn't come up with the name. Um, One of my friends from college, which is now Dr. Blackmore, we were just all kind of dabbling, and she was the one that came up with the name. She was like, "What about Black College Experience?" I was like, "You know what? That kind of sticks," because we were just kind of we were
Mm-hmm.
playing around with it. But I'm one of those people, I never let people forget that you were the one that came up with it, but she was the one that came up with that name, and it just stuck. It just stuck with us.
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you think about it, because you can just literally say out your mouth, like, yeah, I'm looking for the Black college experience, or I love the fact that I went to HBCU for a Black college experience. So it literally just it folds in there. So like you'll always forever be in the fold, whether people know it or not. They're
Right.
seeing the Black college experience and literally talking about your business, your brand. So within this, you gave us a little bit earlier about how you're highlighting HBCU, sports culture, and all those things. And I know it's probably hard to really like niche down because I find myself doing the same thing. I'm like, what actually is my business? Like, what do I do? What do I do? I just like I do everything, but more specifically, what exactly do? I know we're in the same rooms all the time, but if someone was to ask me like, what exactly does she do? I'm gonna say she does everything like I do. So
So for me in particular, it's more so it's always going to be reporting. Mine is strictly reporting, right? And of course, I can always go in and write a story because I mean, I writing 20 years ago, so I can always go in with that journalistic piece, which is one of the things people, as psychology majors, we read and write and research all the time. So that's one of the things that I can always plug back into is the journalistic side. But it's always for me, it's always the reporting. The reporting is the main thing that I always, I'm gonna always have the story. So it's always gonna be it's definitely the reporting.
okay. So, what would you tell somebody that's trying to get into the reporter space in any way? Because you have the longevity, you have the career, and I mean, it's something that you built. So, people that are trying to build or getting to the space like myself, but more so people maybe that hadn't even started, but maybe they're afraid. What is something that you would tell them to do to really get involved?
So I tell people now to start. That's the main thing. Start. Once you start, do not look back. And much like my story, you're gonna have some bumps in the road. This generation, they have way more access, way more resources. We have social media. We didn't have so more I say I didn't have all the things that they had. And so I say now, once you start, anybody can start a podcast, you can start a YouTube. We see it happen every day, right? And so
Hmm.
tell people once you start, don't stop. But on the other side, start looking at places that you want to go. I told people I'm in the Black college space, but you can learn in the Black college space and you can apply that at any place that you choose to go. I have a mentee that's working at Georgia Tech in athletics. So, and that's two different things compared to Southern and Georgia Tech. So, it's just about starting. You have to start. You never know. If you don't start, then you can't move forward. You have to start in order to see where it's going to take you.
I agree. Completely agree. From a person I just had to start. I completely agree with that. What so far has been like your favorite events or your favorite thing that you've reported on? I love hearing these stories. So I want to know what's been your favorite so far.
Hmm. I've had a lot of favorites. I always say, oh God, I always say it's about the student athletes because every student athlete gives me something. They give me something. Um, but I'm also the person, I love bloopers. I love coaches,
Mhm.
and so I would say right now, probably it's still gonna probably be prime time. It's still gonna be Deion Sanders because that interview was probably like the catapult because it was one of those I didn't expect. You're sitting in our interview room and you don't know what a coach or whatever somebody's gonna say. You don't know their sense of humor. I don't know what you're gonna say. I had never been around. I didn't know what the conversation was gonna be. All I know is I'm one of the few women that's in the room. All the men are being professional, but I have a completely different personality. For people that follow me, they know that I'm just really it's really unscripted for what I do. And so, in this instance where we're in a media space, or that day when I actually went on, and this is so crazy because when we were at SWAC Media Day, Dennis, the guy that I was talking to that's now the SID over at Alabama State, he was the person at Jackson State at the time that got me access to Jackson, who's at Jackson State. So that's probably the best because you're sitting here literally in a media space where you with this person that everybody, guys and everybody else, just falling out over this man. And so to me, it's just like, okay, it's Deion Sanders. I'm just so green. I'm like, all right, it's, no big deal. But as we're going over questions, everybody's as they're like, all right, does anybody else have any more questions? And I remember a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine that worked for CNN, she was like, listen, you make sure you ask some questions that nobody else would ask. Let's go over it. I'm like, all right. When I'm looking at my list, I'm like, well, they already asked that. They asked that. They asked that. Okay, let me think on my toes. And that's one of the things I'm good at, thinking on my toes. And so at that point, I remember asking him, where did he get the phrase, I believe? Now, I didn't know I thought he would just give me an answer. Okay, well, it came from, and I said, you were there, coach, yesterday preaching, I believe. You had me believing. You had me ready to suit up and play football. In his normal, authentic self, he turns around. I know you believe. You got on your blue blazer, your red pumps, your red lipstick. Media room just went crazy. Just went crazy because it was so unscripted and we were so caught off guard. We all started laughing. And so after that, we're walking out and he stopped and he said, let's take a selfie. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. We got to take a picture because people are not going to believe what just happened in this interview. Well, right after that, my phone started ringing and I didn't understand why, but it was live. So everybody could see it and hear it as it was happening. So I think that was probably like the grand moment aside from last week when Coach Odoms from Norfolk State decides to call me out in front of the MEAC SWAC press conference about my workouts. So, you have those moments, but those are probably like the funny moments that I have probably enjoyed. And then probably on the other side would definitely be the Black College Football Hall of Fame enshrinements. Getting a chance to go in and see those guys get enshrined that are more than deserving. And I joke and say I got to see Robert Mathis and Antoine Bethea both go in. Getting to see people like Pete Richardson, getting to see so many great people go in. It's just a highlight seeing that kind of stuff.
I can agree to that sentiment with the Black College Football Hall of Fame. That was my first time being there, where we actually physically connected because I had seen you, a year prior to that, or all last season. It was an unbelievable experience because I'm like, I'm in a room with greats here. I feel like I'm a great now. I'm great. I'm great too. Um, talk about, I really want to know, and I want to know if your experience is it probably won't be similar to mine. Because although I'm very vibrant in the beginning, I mean, vibrant in toward the end, once I get comfortable, when I'm not, I'm really much like in my space. So coming into this in the world of our space, being in sports, but also in the Black media sports, and being in those media rooms, as you said, is men everywhere. It's really a male dominated space, especially, in HBCU, women are coming in, but it's really more male dominant. So you coming into that space, how was it for you in the beginning of really finding your feet and finding your way in that space?
It was no lie, it was very intimidating. You're coming into a space where you're having to prove yourself not only to Black men, but to white men, to white women. You're having to prove yourself to people in general. And it's like, well, shoot, if your own people don't buy into it, it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
tough. And so it's fighting to get media credentials. It's fighting to get, like, you got people that's always been covering stuff. You're like, well, shoot, now I got to try to get into the same space. And if all 50 of us are talking about HBCU sports, it's like, okay, how do you stand apart? How do you stand out from what they're doing? And it was completely intimidating, because it's like you're always trying to prove yourself, always trying to be in the spaces, always trying to be in the place that they are. And one of the things I often found myself seeing is that, they'll be like, oh, follow, and then I have like 10 people. And then it's like, okay, well, where are the women that y'all talking about follow? And I was like, y'all do realize that there are more and more women getting into this field, but they would always have like the same people. And I would see people tag my content, but not tag me. They'll retweet my content, but not
Mm-hmm.
me on the retweet. And I'm like, but that's my content. So it's very intimidating working with guys. Now it's just like whatever. But and I'm kind of like you. When I stay in my own lane, in my own space, I am where I am. But yeah, it was very intimidating initially. No lie, it was very intimidating.
Okay, so at least I mean, I don't feel crazy about it because again, I came in a very male dominated place. So it's kind of like, how do I stick out and be different?
Right.
I think the thing I really loved about you when I saw you, not only one, were you a darker toned woman, because
Mhm.
I'm like, I can go on a soapbox about that, but I will not do that tonight. But you're a darker tone, skin tone. Like I'm darker tone, and a lot of people say I have a tan now, but even when I'm not tanned, I'm so very much brown. I'm brown, you know. And then I saw that you also like you are always dressed up.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, because I have had so many men tell me that I need to wear sneakers, that I don't need to dress like that I don't need to, you don't have, you can wear a regular like polo shirt and pants. And it's like, that's not who I am. And everybody that knows my brand is very much, I stay on brand as much as possible. And sometimes it sucks like being pretty all the time, but that's the brand. So I have to stay on brand. So that's what for me really drew me in. And I was like, okay, well, I think I can do this. I can make it, because when I first came in, I did come under another network, and they were very much different than me. It was very much like, oh, change this, do that. We don't really accept that. You shouldn't really say those words. I'm bubbly and I'm super like, I want to get out there. And I had content where I had a wine glass. A lot of times people that's going to hear this now. A lot of times in my wine glass, sometimes it was juice, because if I sit here and I'm actually drinking wine and I'm talking, baby, we're gonna be,
Right.
we're gonna be toasty on the camera. But that was something that was like, that's not something that we could put on, that we didn't want on our network. So it was just intimidating in that space, and then trying to fit in is always like, okay, I just felt like I did not fit in. So that's what I really saying all that to say, that's what I really, when I saw you, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know your name, but I did know they call you the little short lady, Black college. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know at first your whole brand was Black college experience. They just like, short lady, she works in Black college. I'm like, what does that even mean? And like, why y'all, but you probably hear that a lot. Like, oh, the little short lady. I'm like, okay, I don't know. So when I finally got the nerve to just be like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to her because you had on the shoes that I liked. I'm like, oh, these shoes are bomb. I'm gonna talk to her. And it felt good to be able to talk to you and you weren't um snobbish, or you wasn't like, oh, hi, who are you in our space. So I appreciate that as well. And I don't know if you've ever had those experiences of like having people not be so welcoming to you, but I do appreciate you being welcoming to me, even though you didn't know me from a campaign. I was just being obnoxious.
And then I even because I know what it feels like to not be welcomed in that space. And so now when people come to me, it doesn't. To me, it's like an honor that people would even want to come talk to you. And I had a girl from Grambling, she walked in, she was like, "Oh, you're just so beautiful." I was like, "Oh my God, really? Oh my God." And so we okay. So that she did come to SIAC Media Day with me, but to no avail. She has like a background in like production. So like she's really thing. But I was like, listen, just come here, see what it's like, just get your feel for it. Come, if nothing more, network, because you don't know where that networking can take you. Somebody might need somebody for production or whatever. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm not that person because I know how people can be in this space. It's a lot of new faces in the space, and everybody's trying to get to that place. And I always say it's enough space, it's enough for all of us to eat. It's really no need for that.
Yeah. When you say networking, because I still feel like I'm like, sometimes like, what is networking? You've been in the business long enough, so you could probably give some tips and tricks and pointers over here. But when you say network, what exactly do you mean by that? Is it literally just taking a business card and saying, hey, da da da, or like, how do you master networking? I'm curious.
So for me, it's simply showing up and being ready. And that's probably the number one key for me: showing up and being ready, just showing people, or just being ready and willing to learn about people. Because a lot of people aren't talkers, and that's my thing. That's one of my strong suits. I'm a talker, right? And so it's a business card, but at the same time, it's a conversation. And so you can't be scared to approach people. That's me. If I'm in SIAC, I'm comfortable in that space. If I'm in the SWAC, I'm very comfortable in that space. So no matter where I am, I'm comfortable in the space because I've talked to these people over and over and over and over and over again. I have gotten so comfortable in that space. And so it's for me, it's just being able to walk up to people and just introducing yourself. Like some people, they're going to stand in the background. And I always sound much like my mom. I'm just going to go up there and I'm going to go get it. Hey, I'm such and such. Hey. And that's one of the things. And so I become this person where I start introducing whoever's with me. Hey, you know this person? Hey, do you know this person? I just start introducing people at the same time because I'm like, yeah, I feel like if I know the person, I don't know what the person with me might need. I feel like I have to do the same thing. Somebody had to introduce me to people. So I started doing the same thing. And I always feel like if I want to interview, if I want to talk to somebody somewhere in the mid season, if I got the connection ahead of time, I don't have to try to get the connection when I want the interview. I start doing it ahead of time. So it is, that's the biggest thing in this industry is to network because you never know what you're going to need or who you're going to need in this industry.
What's next, or what would you love to take Black college experience? Where would you love to take it in the next steps?
So one of the most important things for me is mentorship. That's one of the key components here, mentorship and scholarship. I would love to expand that into more scholarships. That's one of the main things. Even if I could add a mentor component to it, but right now scholarships will probably be the main thing because we know how tough and how expensive college can be, and it could be the difference of $500. And
Mhm.
so it's the expansion of the scholarship is one of the main things I want to do.
I love that, especially because again, you're from an HBCU and they're in this space. And I agree. I think I can't remember who actually was saying it, but they were like, we need to get more students in school. We need them to not only get there, but we need them to graduate. And I think that's one thing, like you weren't at media day for the MEAC, but one of the things that Coach Barry was saying over and over and over again is we want to get them, retain them, and graduate them. Like you graduating them is just as important as getting them and retaining them as athletes. So hearing you say that is motivational, and it's like, okay, wow, like just imagine you now saying, yeah, I got a scholarship from the Black College Experience. Like, oh, you know, it has some merch with that too. Like, I'm giving you a scholarship. You better wear the shirt.
Right.
Wear the shirt with the check and the little thing and do it. And it's like that's a big expansion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pivot a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna pivot because I want to know. I think that fashion is something that like women bring to the space. So have you ever had a fashion malfunction?
You know what? I don't think I have. Lord, knock on wood. I don't think I have. Sneaker in the bag person. I will come out with pumps and we will be ready. But by the time it's over, yo, let me get my sneakers. Let me get them, yo. Don't play with me. I need my sneakers. But I'm also one of those people, just as you are. I still believe in keeping the femininity into what we do because people do. They think we just got to look. Yes, I get it. Sometimes we gonna have to be out there. But even when I'm on this, I'm like, listen, my hair still needs to be done. My nails still need to be done. I still need to look like a woman. I am not in that tomboy space. I'm not. Even though my hair looks amazing, I'm not in that tomboy space. But I do. I don't think I've had any that I can think of. I just know I keep some. I don't think so. I, I don't know. I don't think I have.
So what has been your favorite outfit so far? Mm.
You know what? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think I know. Bayou Classic, I think 2017, 2016. I had on houndstooth pants. I had a monogram Black College Experience jacket. That's when I had my old logo. So it was a white blazer with a black, gray, and white logo, or black and gray logo. The houndstooth pants. You couldn't tell me nothing. Y'all couldn't tell me nothing. I was like, oh, this is my first Bayou Classic. And guess where I was at? In the press box. So nobody could see it anyway. Nobody could see it anyway. It was like, no, they could even see it. The next year, okay, baby, we going out there. I had my personalized. It was close to Columbia blue with a gold, and that was like you going southern with the gold dress. I was like, oh yeah, like I was the anchor. Oh yeah, baby. Guess where I was at? In the press box again. I said, you know what? I three by year three, they didn't stop playing me. They put me on the field, but I was like, you know what? I can't even dress up because now you have to wear the vest. So I was like, they ain't gonna be able to see me. So I think that first year at Bayou Classic was it. But this last year at Bayou Classic, since it was 50 years, I did have a personalized jacket in which I honored Coach Eddie Robinson and Coach Pete Richardson. So I had pictures of everything, which they did. They put it, I think it was on ABC, they put it on there. But you couldn't tell me that the first 2 years when I was in the press box and nobody could see. You can't even see it.
No, it's never a waste. We could take a picture of it and post it on the internet. Never, ever a waste. I love a good outfit. I tell you, even though I know that I'm being the press box, I just feel like it's harder for basketball. Basketball, I'm like, it's only a 2 hour game. So you got to dress it down. So I do a lot of my AKA paraphernalia during basketball, or I'll wear like school paraphernalia or whatever I'm doing. But football, I feel like, oh no, baby. And that's why I like to walk around because I'm like, y'all gonna see, I didn't put this outfit together in my head. Y'all gonna see this outfit one way or another. I'm gonna pretend like I'm lost and I'm gonna walk around. Y'all gonna see this outfit.
we were at when we were at the Black College Football Hall of Fame in Charlotte, Coach Trey Oliver from North Carolina Central. He was the first person to say something about my shoes. He was the very first person to say something. And he tells his OC, he's like, look at her shoes. And from that point, I was like, okay, so people really paying attention. And after that, everybody started saying something. But Coach Oliver was the first person. Coach Oliver has a totally different personality.
And does.
That's what I listen. He doesn't say much, but when he comes for you or he comes at you, he's coming full force. He's that kind of coach.
Yes. And you just said something that just hit the nail on the head. People are paying attention. People pay attention. You don't think that they are. So like,
Right.
when you look a hot mess express, trust me, they know. But when you walk around and you look decent and you look like you take care of yourself, that they're more inviting to you. At least I've felt in this space. So it's like you need to look like you got yourself together, comb your hair or, put something on, and they will definitely call you out on if they like it. Or even if they don't, I don't think that too much. So they won't say they won't say if they don't like it. But if they do like it, they're definitely going to pinpoint something out and say, oh, I like this, or give you some type of compliment. So nail on the head, they are paying attention. That'll
Correct.
be like, don't ever think they're not. They are paying attention. I think that's how I actually networked with one person. I end up knowing them because somebody saw, I think my very first game was the Miak Swag Challenge,
Mhm.
where I was doing reporter stuff, and I wore these H&M pants, which are my favorite pants. And lo and behold, I posted it on social media, and somebody was like, "Oh, you were the person with those pants on," and da da da, like having a conversation. I'm like, didn't even realize that you saw me because again, people are really paying attention.
Right.
Um, so have you had any like embarrassing moments so far in your reported career?
I have. I think I've had some. Yeah, I remember being, I would say this was probably embarrassing, but I remember being trampled or almost trampled at Magic City Classic. And you know how small I am because
Yes.
we're talking about that though. I think I remember almost being trampled. And even in that space, I was just like, we were standing there, saw them coming. And, everybody trying to get the right shot and everything. And I think I got out of the way just in time, but I might have got moved over a little bit. But I'm like, yo, everybody in this stadium, 60, 70, 80,000 people can see us. So, of course, they're running that back. But I can remember that probably being, but I can't remember too many other times. Really no, not in particular, but I do remember them coming full force, and I was like, yo, like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you gotta get out the way. It reminds me of the Celebration Bowl. Like at the end, everybody like rushes the field. I'm like, hold on, y'all. I know I don't got on a high heel, but
yeah.
go ahead. I'll catch up. What is your favorite HBCU classic?
Of course, Bayou Classic. Of course, that's not really. It's gonna be Bayou Classic. Come on now, it's always gonna be classic for me. And Magic City Classic. So I do. I'd say I always tell people Alabama A&M raised me, Southern University made me. I mean, I'm born and raised in Huntsville, so Alabama A&M is home. I
Mhm.
always say, no cap. My name is good at Alabama A&M. I can always go home. The only problem about Alabama A&M is that if they play Southern and Southern loses, they remind me that we lost. You're from Huntsville. They will drag me through the mud. That's just the love. But it's definitely Bayou Classic first and Magic City Classic right behind it. But make no mistakes, they're two different classics. Two
Mhm.
different. Both of them are very great classics. With Magic City Classic gives you that hometown feel because they tailgating, they outside, everybody's eating, everybody's having a good time. Of course, you get the game and the bang. Bayou Classic, I say, is more trash talk. I don't know. I think we're just crazy in Louisiana. It's just a different type of foolishness. But it's like leading up to all the different stuff. But two different things, absolutely, positively love. Those are my two. Those are my two go tos.
If you had to, I know outside of Southern probably is already at the top of the ticket in terms of bands. What other bands fall under them if you had top five? So we know. So let's start at five because we know who number one is. I mean, unless the answer is different, I don't know. But I gotta ask you that. So top five bands.
Oh Lord knows I'm not a band person. Y'all know I'm not. I'm not. Of course, Southern is going to be my first. Jackson State is going to come in there. Um, Tennessee State Aristocrats is definitely going to come in there.
Hmm.
Um, who else would I put in there? You know what? I'm not really oblivious to Norfolk State. I do like Norfolk State. And who else would I throw in there?
I got one more.
You know what? That is I could take a Alabama A&M. I'm not gonna kick them out, but
Okay.
Jackson State definitely can get kicked out. So I'm about to take some. Yeah, that is giving me a top five is very tough, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I mean, HBCU culture and bands is just something that's like, oh, so good. And a lot of times people forget about we got our D1 bands, but our D2 bands still get it. They get it good too. Um, if you are you a football girly by heart? Are you more basketball? Because sometimes I'm in a space and people say, I don't even really like football like that. I just fell into it. I love basketball. So are you football girl, basketball, track?
So
Not the band.
I'm really, yeah, definitely not the band. I'm really all sports. I used to be, seriously, I started out in basketball. Basketball was my thing, but now I'm more so football. But I still believe in bringing the exposure to everybody because I'm like, yo, everybody got people out here on scholarships, people that's out here fighting for their lives. And I feel like we have to highlight them all. But yeah, football is something that I've gotten more, I became more locked into, but it was basketball at first.
How do you keep up with all the sports and all the schools and everything that you got going on with Black college experience?
So the thing is, God, one of the worst things you can do is not, or excuse me, one of the worst things you can do is follow a school that's not updated. So don't have an updated roster, updated schedule, updated anything. So you don't know what's going on. So now you digging. And so my thing is that we're always digging. You know, again, with psychology, we always research and we always dig.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I just started following all of these schools. And so when people follow me back, I start following them and I start following coaches. And then if they parents on there, parents start. So I just started following people. So the way that I keep up with it is that if I see a coach post something, I'm retweeting it. Then I can start digging a little bit more. And I go by seasons. So if it's football season, I'm tuned into football season. It's
Mm-hmm.
basketball season, I'm tuned. I never jump ahead of the seasons. And a lot of times they be like, Keisha, come on. But I'm one of those people. If it's basketball season, I'm locked into basketball season. I don't care that if 2 weeks from now is baseball season or whatever it is. I stay locked into the season until it's over. Then I'll hop into the next sport.
I like that though. Staying in the season. Yeah, I mean, that's how you just, I guess, stay in line. Like you just stay in track. The only thing is like some seasons start to overlap, like basketball and football overlap a little bit, but it's more toward the like intel end. What is a unsung hero sport that you found that you actually pretty enjoy with covering?
Gymnastics. Gymnastics is one of those sports that we know does it's non-revenue generating. And that's another thing. In about 2 weeks, I'm gonna actually start, I'm going into the process of judging gymnastics. And so that's one of the things that I found I liked. And they called me, was like, hey, do you want to be a judge for high school gymnastics in Georgia? And I was like, yo, sign me up. And so I'm gonna go through that whole training. But I do. Gymnastics is one of those sports that you're like, hey, I actually I do. And then the other is soccer and bowling. Gymnastics, soccer, and bowling. Once you get into it, it's like, okay, seriously. And so one of the things is that somebody was like, man, you know what, you just have us following all kind of stuff. But I was like, if my team is out there and they win, oh, you gonna hear about it. I was like, yeah, they bowling team over here winning. Yeah, we just act like we know all the stuff about strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my school has a great team, and it's like, you guys, you had so many great soccer teams.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody paying attention to this. So many great bowling teams. You're like, okay, nobody paying attention to it. So I was like, yo, let me just start talking about it. But then everybody started recruiting. So, but yeah, that's definitely the top three.
I don't think that anybody ever really talks about bowling. Like people forget that bowling is a sport. Like and it's highly competitive as well. I mean, some people are like, oh, baseball, golf. Like I'm trying to get into golf at this current moment. I'm not really getting that far, but I'm trying to get into golf. But bowling, I know somebody who actually did competitive bowling, and when I say that I went to a couple of the bowling meets and things, I was like, okay, y'all look crazy. Y'all look crazy. I don't know about that, but I didn't expect you to say bowling. So that's like, wow, okay. I like it. I like it though. All right. Some hot seat questions before I let you get out of here.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay. Now, If you had to pick between drinking Gatorade and drinking Powerade, which one would you pick?
Ooh, Powerade.
What?
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
Powerade.
All right. Now, Louisiana, are we doing gator or are we doing, oh, this we're talking about gator, but fried gator tail or gator sausage?
Oh God, we gotta do gator sausage because I don't want to know what it is. So let me get because a tail I can tell. Let me do sausage because I ain't gonna be able to tell what that is. No ma'am.
What? What? Oh no, I've had both, and I'm like, mm-mm. Okay, gumbo or jambalaya?
Gumbo every single day.
Hmm. Seafood gumbo or like regular gumbo?
Seafood gumbo.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. It's another one here. Alabama doesn't have a professional football team. Um, New Orleans Saints or Atlanta Falcons?
Oh my God, New Orleans Saints all day. I hate Falcons. New Orleans Saints all day long. I hate the Falcons.
I just had to ask because I'm like, I think I'm gonna get the answer that I'm looking for. I think I feel like people that went to school, even if you're not from Louisiana, if you went to school in Louisiana, you just do not like the Falcons. And it's so crazy because so many people that do not like the Falcons live in Atlanta, which is
Yeah,
crazy. But
yep.
it's a melting pot. It's really a melting pot. Okay. High heel or wedge?
High heel. Every
I can't say tennis shoe because tennis shoes is for the aftermath. Okay. If you had to pick between having your hair braided or having a weave, which one would you pick?
braids.
Mm. Mm.
I am so convenient because I don't know how to curl. I don't know how to maintain braids. I'm like, yo, give me braids. Give me the braids. I'm like, I cannot maintain. I'm horrible.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I had to learn. Like my mom used to do my hair, so I had to learn how to do all of those things. So you have no fear there. Okay, let's see. I mean, do I have any more? We already said football or basketball, but you're kind of both. More football now, which is cool. I like that. I'm a football girly, but I like hockey. I'm a hockey girl for real. People always look at me crazy like hockey. Like, yeah, I love hockey actually.
Right.
Um, because why not? There's something different that people actually don't talk about. I want to be that black girl in hockey. That's me. That's my goal in life for myself. All right. If you had to choose between mm, halftime show, right? Halftime. We're taking Southern out of this because I feel like we have to remove them from all equations. We have to remove all equations. Jackson State or Alabama A&M halftime show.
I'm taking Jackson State. That's we battle it out with the sonic boom, but I'm taking Jackson State. I'm taking Jackson State.
Okay. If you could only, it's my last one. If you could only ever attend one event as a reporter for Black college experience, if you could only attend one, absolutely one, what would it be and why?
The ESPYs. The ESPYs is definitely list item. It's definitely a bucket list. Y'all, for people that don't know, I am absolutely positively obsessed with LeBron James. And I'm like, I want to meet LeBron James. I want to meet LeBron James, even though he probably will never be there. But the SBs, I feel like that is the platform for all sports. It is. It's for all sports.
Mhm.
So listen, I didn't been down here for the NFL draft. I didn't been in all these other spaces. And I was like, I'll eventually get the Super Bowl because it's in New Orleans next year. But
Mhm.
I want to be at the ESPYs. I want to be in the room because I love to dress up. I was like, I love a game, so I want to dress up and just be on the red carpet, being this person like, hi. interviewing all of these athletes. But yeah, the ESPYs is the one event.
I think I
Oh,
might have to still that put that on my list.
the one event.
What will be my event?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My event would be well, it'll be a week long, but my event would be Media Row at Super Bowl.
Okay. Okay.
Would be.
So you just gonna just take the whole week. Okay.
Yeah, I need to be there the entire I need the entire week. I need to be able to see everybody and everything. I need to be in the know. I need to get all the things, all of the things. But I never
And
even thought about the SBs. I never thought about that.
yeah,
Yes. But there's so much to go on with Super Bowl. It's so much. It's flag. They got college things. They got the entertainment, the halftime, the actual football team. I don't even care about the game. I don't need to be at the game. I need to be on Media Row.
yeah.
That's where I want to be.
Let's start applying now to be
Yeah,
in it.
yes. I mean, I feel like I gotta have like a million person reach or something for me to get in there but
I tell you about the network. I got some people on LinkedIn that work for the Saints. I know it. And I'm talking about like some top people. So we're gonna start this conversation.
yes.
Like, how are you? Do you remember me from HBCU Legacy Bowl? Was where I met this guy at. Like, have you been to Legacy Bowl?
Yes, I was there. My first one was this year.
I think you did everything for the first time this year. Sounds like you just doing. This was like your stuff.
Yeah, it was my year of and even this year coming in, I want to do all the things that I just did not do. It was really like my year of stepping out and kind of betting on myself. Like I said, I still work with the other network that I was with, but I've always wanted to be on my own, step on my own. Like my brand, like Pretty Girls Love Sports means something to me, and I believe in it. And I don't want anybody to tell me that I can't do something. So going to this year, the media days and things I've kind of reached and branched, and I got those on my own, you know. Yeah, MEAC was great. MEAC was great. For me, it's just sometimes I just be like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm just so excited.
Thank you.
Like my name's on that list when they flip it over, yeah, Dazzler Pretty Girls Love Sports. And it felt good to be able to see some of the women in there and even some of the men. They're like, wow, I made a banner with my graphic. I think you've seen the banner at SWAC. So me being there and someone's like, yo, your banner is dope. I just love it, And my favorite coach is Coach Scott from Howard. So having him come over to my table and he got his phone out, trying to get my QR code on the thing and taking, just having people recognize it is a really it's a total different feeling. And it clenches at my heart because I know that I've really been trying to make it out the mud, and I am making it out the mud. We're just trying to get my name and get my face into places. And it's I'm doing it with essentially sometimes no guidance because I'm just going to shoot my shot and just do it. And I'm just going to, if we get in there, we just show up. And Mr. Leroy, I give him his credit too. He's the one who has put me in places with the Black College Football Hall of Fame. I don't know why I like to jumble those words up. But he's the one that got me into that space because he was like, okay, I can get a extra credential because if I'm going, you going and you're going to be in there. He's the one who got me, with talking to my big brother Greg Coleman, and he's one of the NFL greats. I'm like, oh my gosh, or getting photos with Doug Williams because he was like, hey, take a picture, and because he's just outwardly like that. Because for me, I get kind of intimidated being in a lot of these spaces. I'm like, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to do the wrong. I don't. What do I say to these people? What did I say to these people? And he's like, hey, I know you from somewhere. Or he just spark up a conversation yeah, well, this is Dez and da-da-da. So just trying to continue to branch out on my own and be able to find myself into this space because last year, a lot of the time I was doing things for other people and not for myself. So it's I come with it.
Yeah. And you do, because when you look at the Black College Football Hall of Fame in Sherman, it's a lot of, I say it's always old money. It's a bunch of old men, a bunch of old money. It is. It can be intimidating because now you got a bunch of men and you like, God, And they do. Whenever they interview, they want to know where it's going. Like, where's this going? Who are you? Where's this interview going? They ask. And
Mm-hmm.
how so I learned to pivot. My go-to is if I'm going to talk to Mel Blunt or Aeneas Williams, I'd be like, hey, Jaguar, every single time. Oh, you a Jaguar? Yeah, come on, go ahead. Let's do this interview. Let's get this picture. Because you ain't gonna tell me no because I went to Southern. You gonna say yeah because I went to Southern. But it can be, and I can totally, even being in the industry this long, I can totally agree with you. It's so many people in the room, and you're like, doggone, and
I'm
you
like,
just you don't know who to approach. And Greg is a really Greg Coleman is a really great person to talk to. Over time, he's always, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. But it's yeah, it can be a lot. It can be it can be a lot because every year they're going to add more people, and you got to look at more folks. You got to learn. But yeah,
mhm. For sure. I think one thing I stole from you, and you know it now, is when you introduce yourself, you always say Keisha Black College Experience, and you always say it. And I have to get used to doing that because I didn't know that. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't told to do that. So when I heard you do it, and I heard you do it more than once, I was like, I think I should do that. I think I should do that. So now it's like, oh, Des Barnes, Pretty Girls of Sports. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
and I
Pretty Girls of Sports.
and I
Catch
think it
people.
from whenever we're in media, like when you're asking a question, they was like, you have to introduce yourself. And I think I just kind of took it from there. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm Keisha J. Kelly, Black College Experience. Because I always said, well, introduce yourself. And I'm like, all right, fine. So that's how it kind of rolled over. But of course, I have a different side of me. So even when I'm meeting people and people have started to fall for this, and I don't understand why, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm Keisha Kelly, LeBron's little cousin. And it catches people off guard. And they just laugh at me like, what? I was like, yeah, no, never mind. In my office, I was known as Little LeBron. Every single people be, hey, what? Yeah, he's the LeBron's little cousin. You know, the little one? And they just laugh. And then somebody was like, are you serious? And I was like, oh God. But that's what it just stuck. Some things just stick. And I'm just like, y'all. But I do. You, of course, people adapt and they find what works for them. But y'all, I do. I'd be like, I don't have no common sense. I'm like, these people gonna put me out of these spaces, but it is, you do. That's seriously, you do want to introduce yourself because they'll remember. They'll remember. They remember everything you say and do. Like I was telling Stephen from HBCU Game Day, I was like, even if coaches don't respond and say stuff on social media, they watch. They watch what you post.
Mhm.
They watch, which is why I don't do polls. I don't know about other people. I'm just not that kind of person. I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't do that. I don't. I think I did it for like blanket NFL content, but
Mhm.
other than that, no. Because I do agree with you. I did an interview with a coach. He sat down, was like, "Oh, gave me the compliment," and then was after we got done, he was telling me about stuff. I'm like, okay, you was paying attention. Or even the players, like I posted something about something about your team is not able to score a touchdown. And when I said that player was so caught up in his, he's like, are you, yeah, you really be talking about us over here? And I was like, hold up.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was like. I recognized when I saw even posted talking about Coach Trey Oliver. And I say, y'all, because I do. When I say my coaches, I do. Coach Odoms was at Southern. Coach Oliver was at Southern. Coach Berry was at Southern, all at the same time. So you got these coaches that coach under Coach Odom. And I always say these are forever my Jaguars. But literally, I was reading that and I saw Coach Oliver, Tito, Steven, somewhere that if he didn't pick him, he was like, yep, nope. He said, you won't get an interview from me this season. And I was so tickled. I was like, this is why I don't do polls. I was like, see, yeah, I'll be pissing off coaches for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want, and I just don't understand like to keep up with it. I don't want to see if you lose one game, then you drop down five. I don't have time for that. That's too much. I just want to go by the weeks and be like, oh yeah, congratulations. But I told him, I said, if you choose him less than what he is, you better hope he loses. And I said, because if he win everything, he's gonna bring you back to you. I'm telling you, he gonna remember from them polls. And
Baby,
he remembered exactly who said it. I was like, oh my
they keep
God.
them receipts. They keep them receipts.
Like,
Okay.
it was, and I was like, oh my God. But he was serious. They were dead serious. I was like, oh no, mm-mm.
Yeah, you find your spacing with some people. It's like, okay, some people are like, I kind of like, I try to get to know their person. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I got, I can say certain things to certain people. And other people, I'm like, you're probably not my cup of tea, you
Right.
know? And I just kind of go to where I kind of fit in that space. And there's actually, I'm going to admit this, and I'm hopefully it doesn't turn back on me, but I'm not going to say any names. But there are some coaches that I actually just do not like. I do not like them, but my professionalism is, oh, I have to interview them. So I'm going to give them a good interview, and I'm going to make sure it's one of the best interviews so that way they know. Because a lot of, like, especially if I have, actual factual words or something with them, and then, like, I don't really actually quite like you. Um, but it's just, you're just not my coach. You're just not my cup of tea. So I
Yeah.
go and find me coaches that I enjoy speaking with, or people in general that I enjoy speaking with. And I tend to make sure, even if it's something that's not going to be posted right away, I want to keep that conversation going, because it's like, you know.
Yeah. And I get it. There are coaches in the SIAC that I'm gonna always talk to. There are coaches that I can pick up the phone and call. There are coaches in the SWAC that I'm gonna always talk to. I can sit down and talk to. And of course, it's always rivalry, but there are coaches that I can always pick up and call no matter what school it is. We can always have some kind of joke, some kind of banner, because in the professional side, I can sit down and have a normal a conversation with a coach and not be biased to my school and whatever school it is that I'm interviewing. And there are coaches like I want to get more with the MEAC and CIAA, because I'm like, listen, we got to cover all of these schools. But
Mm-hmm.
well, I ain't talk to, but I think the MEAC as a whole, I respect all of their coaches. Um, and I do remember Coach Scott coming from Howard, so I respect all of their coaches across the board. Um, CIAA is probably one of the more conference that I have to dive into, but I can tell you there are some coaches I agree that they're just not my favorite, and we talk about being in this space and with women, and you have some of these men that really they just act like they are
Mm.
above. And I'm just like, yo, it's a conversation. It's just a conversation. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. But then you got some coaches that's like, yo, they'll come and they have a full conversation and they're excited to be interviewed. And so, when you see that kind of stuff, I'm just like, okay, I don't even bother. You go about your way. And I talk to these other coaches. I talk to these other athletes that actually want to be bothered.
Yeah, I will say that, like, immediately saying that, Coach Oliver, I will give him his props, because at Media Day, um, they were obviously bouncing them around to different tables and everything. And I understand I am one of the smaller medias, but in my mind, I'm just as big as all
And
the other ones, to be honest with you, because why I'm different and everything that, like, I just am, because I believe in myself that much. But
right,
it happened somehow, some way. He was supposed to come to my table, but he skipped my table and went to the next table, which happened to be HBCU game day. No shade, no tea against them at all. I'm just saying it because their table was next to mine. So somehow the communication of the rotation got off, and he literally had 1 minute until he had to go next door for the live show on ESPN Plus. And my videographer, which is Mr. Leroy Tyler, I was like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. I won't get the interview or anything. Like, again, he was one of the people on my list that I actually wanted to talk to, but I was like, it's cool. It's fine. It's okay. But he went over there and was like, he was like, could you please just give her 5 minutes of your time? I know that you got to go. And other people are like, no, he can't do that. He got to go. And he was like, oh no, what's the table? Who else needs to talk to me? He came over to me, and we literally, I'm standing up holding the mic. I didn't start breaking down because I was like, oh, it's okay, I'm not gonna be able to talk to him, and had a conversation with him. It was not the best interview that I actually wanted to do, because I was just frazzled, but I appreciate him actually saying, like, oh no, I'm gonna go talk to her. It's
right,
fine. She can come over here. So I commend him for being one of the coaches that acknowledges the media, but also comes and talks to you and still gives you their full authentic self. Like, he wasn't rushing me. He wasn't like side eyeing a watch trying to get out of here. He was really welcoming to come over there. And head coach TC Taylor is the exact same way. Like, he literally was the last one at SWAC Media Day, and we were with the network that I was with, we were literally the last interview that he did of the day, and everybody else was gone, and he still was there. And he was like, "Oh no, I'm addressing all the media, every single one." And it was just like, those are the people that you really, really like applaud and commend. And you're like, why can't they all be like you? Why
Yeah.
can't they all be like you?
I remember getting like, was it last year? No, I remember because Swag Media Day has changed. Like they do these media
Yeah.
days, they so
Yeah.
different. And so it wasn't last year, it was the year before when Coach Willie Simmons was there. I remember everybody trying to get him. Everybody wanted Coach Simmons. And I literally, we were walking out the door and he was like, "Hey, I was trying to get to you, but I never could get to you." Walking out elevator, I was like, "Coach, can I?" He was like, "All right." I said, "Coach, all I need is 2 minutes, probably less than that." He's like, "Shoot, let's do it." We're literally walking towards the escalator. And he just stopped and he was like, "Let me do this right." And he did. It's like 2 minutes. But I really feel like it does not take, it don't take all of that. It just does not take 40 minutes, whatever, to do an interview. And when you in rotations, you don't have time. You got to know what
Right,
questions.
like let them go. Thank you. You take
Yeah,
your 10 minutes and send them on this way. Like you talking to them for 30 minutes. Now
yeah,
you ate up somebody else's time. No
yeah,
tea, no shade. So,
yeah. Yes, trying to create a whole show around a 10-minute interview. We're not doing that. Like, yo, hey, coach, what's going on? Which is why it is. It's great that you can have Leroy there to get it, which is like the same thing I did. I end up going on Your Street TV, end up going on his show. So that way I was like, well, shoot, I can sit down and get my interviews and ask questions at the same time while giving him his props. And at the same time, he's like, okay, we all need to work together. And I said, well, everybody doesn't see it like that. But when and a lot of there are guys that are very receptive to a woman's opinion, so they're like, "All right, come on." But I sat down and we probably held Travis and Coach TC Taylor a little bit longer than we should have. But the guy, of course, was Jackson State. But it's just a shift sometimes, and I know when to ask certain questions. I know when to let coaches go. I know when not to, ask certain questions to certain athletes. And that's just, it's just over time, certain things that you learn. It's just, there's certain things I want people to know about me. So I wouldn't ask them certain things about them. But, it is, some coaches are just ready and some coaches aren't. And I'm like, at the end of the day, it's still media day. You know what I mean? It's going to be some people, it's always going to be somebody that's going to ask you something they ain't got no business and they know better, but they still do it. And it's all cameras and all kind of stuff. And I'm just like, that's what media day is. That's a part of being, an athlete. That's part of being an athlete. It's part of being a coach.
Yeah, media in general is always going to be present somewhere, because guess what? Take it while you have it, because some schools don't have any. Don't
Yeah.
have any media, don't have any lights, camera, action. People don't even care about them. So the fact that people care, you should also care in return. That's all I'm gonna say there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a little testy, if you know what I'm saying. Um, I mean, I feel like we can just talk forever, but that was really the basis of, I really wanted to get to know, you a little bit, your journey, the Black college experience. I really hope to get to be like you. I'm like, oh, I got this coach number on my cell phone. I can call them up and be, hey, coach, can I hope to be like that. So like, this is not just a podcast interview to just have an interview to just talk about, oh, I got that lady on there from Black College. No, this is really something that's motivational. And I'm hoping that somebody could hear it and be motivated too, because it means something when you have someone already doing it and being in the space and having success and still wanting to follow in that path and in their journey. Because it's like, a lot of people have walked so we could run, or
Right.
crawled so that way we can walk in these spaces and walk in these rooms. And you're a part of that no matter what. You are a part of that. And that's why I just wanted to get here and have this conversation with you, because I'm like, I got to talk to people that I actually feel motivated from. Like, when I talk to them, I'm motivated. When I see them, I'm motivated. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get me a coach. My goal this year My goal this year is to get at least one coach that I could be able to call and just chit chat, have a conversation with, and it'd be like, I don't gotta worry about it. If I ever need something, I got a coach right there. So you've put something else on my radar for me to do this year. Thank you. I cannot wait for the rest of the season. I know I will be seeing you in some other forms and places.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're gonna do. By time this comes out, I will have seen you a few times, but I will say I'm going to say this now while we're still live and got a hot mic. By the end of the season, hopefully we both have met at least one. I got a few goals now, even from this conversation. We've met at least one of these goals that we would like to have going into the next season of football. Let's say football season.
Okay.
We got a lot of seasons going on. By the end of football season, we'll have at least accomplished one goal. And I can't wait to repost that goal onto my page. That's what half my platform is about, celebrating, highlighting education, and really just being all for the women in sports. So thank you so much for being here today.
Okay.
Let me stop recording.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl.